Hello and welcome to the first Vuelio podcast. I'm Akeshia.
And I'm Jake, and today we're going to be looking at 5 things you shouldn't have missed.
So first on the agenda, on Tuesday, Pottinger went into administration following the recent scandal in South Africa.
Administrator BDO is quoted as saying, "The administrators are now working with the remaining partners and employees to seek an orderly transfer of Pottinger's clients to other firms in order to protect and realise value to creditors." A lot of talented staff members who have nothing to do with the recent scandals, and also a lot of huge clients are going to be flooding the market, which is a real opportunity for the whole industry.
So what does this mean for the industry?
Well, it's unprecedented for such a large agency to go down in such a fashion. It's unclear what's going to happen. The Middle East and Asia branches of Pottinger have already split off, so they can continue separately from Pottinger. But in the long run, we just don't know.
So it's definitely one to watch. Moving on to our next story, social media network Facebook made headlines after it was reported that the tech giant's algorithm was allowing advertisers to target antisemitic groups.
Yes, ProPublica, the American investigative journalism website, managed to buy 3 adverts targeted at demographics who had as their field of study or their interest groups Jew hater, how to burn Jews, or history of why Jews ruin the world. While these groups were admittedly very small, it is concerning that Facebook's automatic algorithm is picking up such offensive material that users themselves have posted. There is no suggestion that Facebook has done anything wrong themselves, though their artificial intelligence needs to be smarter in order to tackle such extremist views.
On a more positive note, Facebook also announced that they're going to introduce a new crisis response section. So we all remember the safety check that they introduced during the terrorist attacks. The Crisis Response Hub will allow users to learn more information about natural disasters, terrorist attacks and other events that affect people around the world.
That is good news. Our third story this week is about regulators on influencers. So PR Week held an influencer breakfast briefing focusing on brand and influencer collaborations. There was a fireside chat between Guy Parker, the CEO of the Advertising Standards Authority, the ASA, and John Riley, the Project Director at the Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA. The chat was hosted by Vuelio's own CEO, Joanna Arnold. Now, during the course of this, both organisations were expressing how important it is for brands and influencers to be aware of the rules around labelling and mislabelling of advertising and sponsored content.
So what happens when you're in the wrong?
So it really depends on what's happened, but ultimately for the ASA, it's all about the brand. The brand is responsible for what happens. For the CMA, they believe both partners are equally responsible because the process is to do with both of them. So when someone does something wrong, for example, this week there's a post about a product which was misclaiming certain health benefits, the ASA can ban that advert from ever appearing again, can force influencers to take it down, and if on a repeated basis their rulings are ignored, they can take it to the Office of Fair Trading to bring criminal charges.
So what's the difference between sponsored content and adverts?
So sponsored content is often marked with #SP. Now with broadcasters, if a TV programme is sponsored, it'll appear at the beginning or between advert breaks beside the programme. But no viewers are going to expect that to have an influence over the editorial control of the programme. Whereas an advert online doesn't have such a clear-cut place, and with bloggers, adverts and editorial control are blurred, so they must be clearly labelled as advertising, #ad, rather than sponsorship, #SP.
And when influencers are building up such a strong trust and relationship with their followers and with their consumers, it's important that they do disclose these things to keep their authenticity.
Yes, exactly, and I think lots of bloggers do. The Vuelio Bloggers survey revealed that 87% of bloggers are disclosing all their content and believe it's important, though there is still that concerning 13% who don't think it's important to disclose all collaborations. And obviously there's also the element of gifts and freebies. It's a murkier area, the rules aren't so clear-cut, but as Guy said, once a gift reaches a certain value, then it's difficult to see how that could or couldn't be having a corrupting effect over the editorial content. And this follows something similar that's been happening in America with a crackdown on influencers not disclosing. Is that right, Akeshia?
Yeah, so this is right. So actually this Thursday, the Federal Trade Commission in Washington, D.C. settled charges against 2 individual social media influencers. So these influencers were actually YouTubers who were working with brands and not properly disclosing that they were collaborating with them. In fact, the brands that they were collaborating with were their own.
So it was their brands as opposed to they were working on behalf of brands?
Yes, so exactly. They were running a gambling website and they are gambling YouTubers, and they were actually promoting their own company and making it look as if they were just advertising for a brand.
Okay, and were they charged?
Yeah, they settled the charges this Thursday.
Okay, so it's settled. Okay.
And the FTC have also sent out 21 warning letters to other Instagram influencers and updated their guidelines.
Okay, so the authorities, both sides of the pond, are clearly trying to crack down on this.
So as we can see with the discussions that have been going on about influencers, sponsored content and affiliate marketing, it's important that we all look at the rules and we keep to them. And our next story is based on a report by Ofcom. Ofcom recently released their report Diversity and Equal Opportunities in Television and revealed that women, ethnic minorities and disabled people are all underrepresented by broadcasters.
Yes, and they've also said that the BBC, as the UK's national broadcaster, the largest broadcaster, should be leading the way, but unfortunately is quite far behind some of the other broadcasters, particularly Channel 4, who I believe is the most diverse channel.
Yeah.
Akeshia, you've got the
numbers. So in the report, they found that Channel 4 had 59% female employees compared to the 47% that the BBC had. Also, Channel 4 had 18% ethnic minority employees, whereas the BBC only had 13%, and Channel 4 had 11% disabled employees, whereby the BBC only had 4%.
Right, so this is not representative of the nation as a whole, and the broadcast industry, it needs to be more representative. I think Sharon White, Ofcom's chief executive, said that television is central to the UK's cultural landscape, society and creative economy. And we believe that creativity in broadcasting thrives on diversity of thinking. So they're looking to encourage more diversity and using this report as a benchmark for year-on-year increases. So our final story of the day is the recent news that James Murdoch has warned Parliament not to shun Fox's Sky bid in relation to Brexit. He said there is a huge opportunity for companies and countries willing to act decisively and capitalise on the economic and social benefit that this industry can create. Inward investment in the UK creative economy and the positive signal it sends to companies around the world is more important than ever as the UK prepares to chart its course outside the EU. Obviously this news is quite significant because the Murdoch Empire was very much on the side of Brexit, and now it's being used as a means to secure the deal, which is under scrutiny by the Competition and Markets Authority on the grounds of media plurality and broadcasting standards.
As quoted in The Guardian, Vince Cable, the Liberal Democrat leader, has said that the government must not let itself be cowed by threats from the Murdochs. He has stressed that succumbing to this type of pressure would set a dangerous precedent.
Yeah, so the issue is that it looks like James Murdoch is trying to put pressure on the government, and obviously the whole point is that they're not allowed to put pressure on the government. Though James Murdoch is, in the rest of his speech that he gave, talking about the fact that he's encouraged by the process with the CMA, the regulation process, and making Britain not a soft touch post-Brexit. So he's encouraged by the regulation process, he's just keen to get on with it, and at the moment he hasn't been involved in that process. So that's 5 things you shouldn't have missed. If you think that we've missed something, please do let us know on the Vuelio blog, or you can email us, all our contact details online. Akeshia, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jake.
And thank you for listening.